Hi, and welcome to Simply from Scratch. My name is Stephanie, and this is my kitchen. It's a beautiful day here in Florida. Sun is out, husband is fishing, girls are doing stuff to keep themselves busy, and I thought it'd be a good time to go ahead and tackle one meal that we all tend to kind of neglect, whether it's by schedules or we're just not that into it or whatever, but that's breakfast. So I thought I'd take you guys along with me and show you some of our favorites. All right, so the first one we're gonna make is breakfast burritos. I've got eggs, sausage, Velveeta like cheese. I've got onions, peppers, and then I have taco seasoning. And then I also have a can of the Salsa Ranchera, which is my husband's favorite. Oh, there we go, okay. A little bit of a glare. And then we are going to wrap some in some gluten-free tortillas for our daughter that has celiacs, and then flour tortillas for the rest of us. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna start with is a dozen eggs. Now I know I have 18 here, but for the four of us, a dozen works just fine. So I like to get this part done first, real quick. Get eggs cracked, and then we're gonna add in our taco seasoning. Now, with this recipe, this is something my husband created, and everybody kind of fell in love with it. It's really versatile. You could change it up to do so many things. You can make them completely vegetarian. You can add in any of the veggies you want. You can change up the meats. You can add smoked sausage. You can, I haven't done bacon, so I don't know how well that would turn out, but you definitely can use smoked sausage, chorizo as well. The eggs will take just about any seasoning you'd like. You can also change out the cheese as well if you'd like and just do regular cheese, but the Velveeta style cheese does make it creamier. All right, so to my eggs, for a dozen, I'm gonna add 2 to 3 tablespoons of taco seasoning, and I get this brand right here from Costco, but any taco seasoning will do. It doesn't have to be any particular brand. It can be your favorite. You can either use the powdered, or you can even do a liquid based, so to speak, if you know what I'm talking about. There are some taco seasoning packets that are more of a sauce. That's the word I'm looking for, a sauce based. Let's switch this up. All right, and that's about all that you need to do with the eggs, and then just set aside. We're gonna move on to cooking the sausage, and then the peppers and onions prep as well. Okay, as you can see, I don't have quite a full tube of sausage my husband kind of dug into this morning for his breakfast, which is totally fine because this is still more than I need for a smaller batch of these breakfast burritos. So I'm only gonna use maybe about half of what's left, and so I'm just going to do the easy way and squeeze it into the pan. And then we're gonna let that start cooking. And while that's starting to cook, we're gonna go back and we are going to get the onions and peppers ready. All right, so for this recipe, ooh, there we go, it's slippery. They've already been rinsed off. We typically like to use poblano peppers with this, but I actually have some green peppers in the fridge that need to really be used up. And so I'm gonna use those this time instead. Just cut off the edges. This doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be cute. These are all going into a burrito, and no one's going to see what they look like. So you do want to trim just a little bit of the white off if it's still there. And then we're just going to dice these up. And if you can't eat peppers again, or you don't like peppers, just remember you can put any vegetable in here you want, and you don't even have to put vegetables. You can just do sausage, the cheese, and the eggs, and the taco seasoning, or you can just play with it. We love to make a variety of different types of breakfast burritos. Sometimes it's just simply eggs, cheese with bacon inside of the tortilla. So It really is just whatever your preference is. But I like to share this recipe because this is one that my husband came up with, and it has been a family favorite and a friend favorite for a very long time. And then now there's a couple things you can do with your scraps. If you have all vegetable scraps, you can put them in a bag and throw them in the freezer and hang on to them and make vegetable stock out of it. Or for us, we put it in our compost and then stick our, when our bin is full inside, put it outside to our open air compost that we have. Now, for this recipe, if you have a small onion, you can use both of the entire onion. If you have a large onion, you can either just do half, or if you really like onion, I say go for it and add the whole thing. Okay, and there we go. That's it. That's all we have to do for that. And then we're gonna go check on the sausage and see how it's doing. All right, we're slowly starting to brown up here. Just start to push down and break down your sausage, or not. All right, there we go. I'm going to add in the vegetables and let them kind of finish off. So I'm going to kind of scrape this off just a little bit. I'm going to now switch over to my spoon for the rest of it because I've got it broken down about as far as I want to. You can leave it thicker and chunkier, or you can make it finer. It's up to you. All right, as you can see, the sausage is starting to brown. It's still a little pink, but we are going to let it go just a little bit more, and then we'll add in the vegetables. All right, as you can see, the sausage is getting nice and brown, so we're going to go ahead and grab our peppers and onions and add them to it. Slide them all in there. All right, it's been about 5 minutes now, and as you can see, the vegetables are starting to cook down. Now, my husband likes to do these in 2 separate steps, but this time I just decided to throw them together. Just makes it just a little bit easier. But either way is fine. You can cook the sausage, put it in the bowl, and then do the vegetables. If you want to cook them down even further. Either way, this is pretty good. You know, like I said, you can cook them a little bit further, or I'm good with this. So we're going to stop here and we're going to put everything in the bowl. Okay, so we've got a little bit larger bowl that we're going to need to put everything in. So I'm going to go ahead and dump in the peppers, onions, and sausage that we cooked. Pour that in there. All right, and then from there, I'm just going to set this aside for just a second. Go ahead and turn back on my pan to keep it hot, because we're soon going to do the eggs. While we're still keeping that warm. Now, with Velveeta cheese, or a brand name, or store brand, excuse me, like that, again, this may gross people out. But for those of us who love it, it makes it a creamy, rich breakfast burrito. You absolutely can swap out cheddar cheese, Swiss cheese, any type of cheese that will melt well. But you're just going to take it. I took about 1/3 of the block because, again, I'm only doing a small amount, and I'm just going to cube them up, put them in here. All right, and what this will do is, because the meat is hot, we're just going to go ahead and just leave that sit there, and then we're going to go ahead and cook the eggs and get that going, and then the eggs will go on top, and then we'll mix it all together, and then we'll be ready to roll burritos. All right, so I just realized that I did not shoot some additional video showing me finishing scrambling the eggs and then adding it to the bowl. But that's what I did once everything was cooked all the way through. I wound up adding it in and then giving it a good stir. All right, as you can see, the cheese is starting to melt and come together. If for any reason you have any trouble with the cheese melting, you can always put it back in the pan and then turn the heat on low and put a lid on it and just let it sit for a few more minutes, and then turn the heat off, and that will help steam the cheese to melt. So this is all set and ready to go. We are going to go ahead and grab our tortillas and get rolling, and we'll have our breakfast burritos. All right, the first ones I'm going to make are the gluten-free ones because our daughter does have celiacs, and so we're going to start with these first. Now, I know that there's going to be some out there that may say, why do you have regular tortillas in the house? While our daughter does have it, it is not as severe as some, and so we are still able to have gluten in the house. I usually always make hers first. Not usually, excuse me. I always make hers first. Keep everything separate. We are a family that has different sensitivities or allergies, and so I am used to cooking almost in like multiple stages in order to get stuff done. So we are going to pop these in the microwave, just warm them up for about 5 seconds and get them filled and rolled, and then get hers done. I'm only going to be making her 2 because she doesn't eat a whole lot, so this will be more than enough. She'll probably eat half every morning, and this will carry her for almost 4 days, maybe even 5, knowing her. Okay, warming up the tortillas allows them to be a little bit more flexible, especially the gluten-free ones. Everything gluten-free tends to can be a little bit more challenging when it comes to being able to hold together. So now you can fill these as full as you want. It's really up to you how you want to do it. Just put it in the center and then roll it back, fold the edges over, and then tuck. Now again, I won't be making hers super big because she doesn't eat a whole lot, so this will be sufficient for her. And I'm going to keep some of this filling out and separate for anybody who doesn't want it in a wrap. My husband's kind of watching his carbs right now, so he may not eat the bigger ones right away. So all right, so tuck like this and grab the plastic wrap here. Now, of course, I have the big old Costco plastic wrap. Sorry, kind of made a mess here. All right, so I just usually pull one out. Oops. Slide it around my plastic, and then I wrap our burritos in plastic again. It just makes for an easy grab and go for breakfast. And then there you go, it's all set and ready. Again, hers are separate, and then they'll be marked gluten-free for her, so she'll know. And then she will be set for breakfast this week. And I know this doesn't seem like a lot for breakfast for one person, but she does eat some other things, and it really just depends on how her system is doing. We'll determine if this will last all week or not. So on to the regular tortillas. So this is our favorite brand. This is what we like to use. We love to use the extra large, but you can use any size that you want to make burritos. This is just kind of what we've done forever. So 1, 2, 3. So I'm pretty sure I can get about 6 burritos, if not 7 out of that. So I'm gonna warm these up and then come back and fill them. All right, tortillas are warmed up, and it's just the same process as it was with the gluten-free. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill it, wrap it, and there we go. Might be helpful if I can put them somewhere when I'm done. There we go. All right, let's get these filled. All right, 6 burritos are done. All right, so I do have enough to go ahead and fill a container. Just, again, like I said, my husband's kind of watching his carbs, so if he decides he doesn't want one in a tortilla, he will then have the filling that he can heat up and have for breakfast, and it still makes for a very easy grab and go breakfast. And really his grab and go is straight from the kitchen into his office, which is very, very close. So we are gonna go ahead and get all these wrapped up and put in the fridge, and then we're gonna move on to the granola. All right, so there we go. We've got 6 burritos that are with regular tortillas and then 2 that are gluten-free. And you can kind of see, hopefully in the camera, that they look very different, so it'll be easy to tell them apart. And then I have extra in the container if we needed to either make additional burritos or just for my husband to not have a tortilla. So we're gonna get this mess cleaned up and we're gonna move on to the granola. All right, for the granola, it's really super simple. We've got rolled oats, we've got butter. Sorry, that was kind of really into the camera. We've got butter, we've got vanilla extract, and then maple syrup, and then actually some salt, which I'll grab in a minute. And then that's pretty much it. It's really super simple to put together, so let's get cooking. All right, so with my granola, there's one thing is I don't necessarily have an exact recipe. I've never really written one down and just kind of eyeball it, which is how I do a lot of things. Not everything, because some things have to be an exact, but we're gonna do our best to try to create that right now and give you guys an idea, but it's really hard. You can't really go wrong. So with granola, it doesn't have to be super crunchy, not crunchy, I'm sorry, like clusters. You don't need a ton of clusters in it. I mean, maybe you do, I don't. So that's why I don't really ever worry too much about it. So I am gonna do, this is gonna actually make quite a bit of granola. So I'm gonna do, let's do with this. It's 5 cups so far. So I think I'm gonna start with 5 cups and then see how I feel. Gonna add 1 stick of butter that's already been melted. Then to that, I'm going to add half a cup of maple syrup. This is the brand I use, but any brand will do it. Just make sure that it's pure maple syrup if you can. You don't have to, but I just tend to think that pure maple syrup tastes a lot better. But again, that's just a personal preference. If you use just regular pancake syrup, sorry about the banging, it'll be okay. It won't be a problem. So now we're gonna add in about a tablespoon, actually, just 1 tablespoon of vanilla, like that. And then I'm gonna grab the brown sugar and I will be right back. All right, got the brown sugar. I'm gonna start with half a cup. If I remember correctly, I don't think I need a little bit any more than this. I feel like half a cup of maple syrup, and brown sugar is sufficient. And then I just do, I don't know, a good pinch full of salt like that. And then I will mix it together. Now, I like to make sure that the granola and the oats, I should say, is moist, but I don't need it to be like super soaking wet. So I will start by mixing this in first. And then if I feel like it's still just a little dry, then I'll add a little bit of water. I don't want to add too much butter to it. And I don't, or I don't want to sweeten it too much. You want just that right balance of sweetness with crunchy. So it actually is looking pretty good, but just to be on the safe side, I'm gonna get a little bit of water. And when I say a little bit, it's maybe about 1/4 cup that I'm adding in to here. Just pour it in, and again, just give it a good mix. You can use a spoon, a spatula, whichever you like. It doesn't really matter. And then just give it a moment, like maybe let it sit for 30 seconds or so while you get your spray for your pan, and just let it start to absorb some of that water. So I'm gonna grab my pan spray. Now, any cooking spray will do. Personal preference, it's up to you. I just happen to have this one right here. You can use a baking one, or if you have a spritz one, You can just use a little butter and then put it on the pan. It's up to you. This is just quick and easy. You can see I'm just going to do it quick like that. And then I'm just gonna give these oats just one more stir, and then we're gonna put them on the pan. Right, like that. I know, sorry, the bowl was in the way. For me, I like to go kind of low and slow on the granola. I have seen other recipes where they go high and it winds up burning, or you just don't quite get what you're looking for in the way of granola. Now from here, I would say, I want to say it's going to be about 30 minutes or so, maybe up to 45. Every oven's a little bit different. I will let you know by the time we pull it out about how long it took, but about halfway through, you could then add in your nuts, your fruit and things like that. Now, if you're gonna add chocolate for any reason, don't do it until after it's actually cooled. But if you're trying to like make a granola snack mix or something like that, but for me, this works. So I'm gonna stick this in the oven and then I will pull it out when it's done and show you guys what it looks like. All right, so it's been 30 minutes on the granola, and so I don't know how well you guys can see this or not, but it's still pretty soft, so it's not ready yet. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to kind of stir it around just a little bit like this. Not a whole lot, because see how it's starting to kind of hold together? That's what I'm looking for, to give it some clusters. Like, I don't want huge, big clusters, but a little bit is, of course, not a bad thing at all. So just kind of stir it around just a little bit, and I am actually going to let this go for another 30 minutes and then check it then. But like I said, I like to do low and slow. This granola has actually been in the oven for an hour, and it's just where I want it to be. You can see it's nice and crunchy. It's got some clumps. I let it cool before even moving it, so anything that will clump will stay together. All right, while the banana muffins are resting, we're gonna go ahead and put the granola in a container. So I have this large glass container. Might be a little bit bigger than what I need, but it is an airtight one. But as you can see, it does clump up some. It's just not gonna be quite the clusters that you're used to if you buy store-bought granola, but it is so good. It is nice and light in the flavor. It's not super sweet. So we're gonna go ahead and just loosen up the granola from the pan. All right, it does stick just a little bit, but not too much. As long as it's been sprayed, it's just normal for it to stick a little bit and wind up on the floor a little bit too. As you're doing it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead. Yes, my hands are clean, and this is our food, so it's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and drop it in there. There's a little bit left. You can snack on that if you want, or soak it. It is up to you. And now we have filled our glass jar full of granola that we can put, use it as a cereal. You can do it as a snack mix, or you can just put it on your yogurt with fresh fruit, frozen fruit, or no fruit at all. It doesn't matter. And these are great little glass jars. I got them on Amazon. I'll put a link below in the description, and they are sealed tight. This should last you about 2 weeks. All right, well, thanks for being with me today for my very first video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the subscribe button down below. Give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one.